and gentlemen, welcome back to Sober Sit Down. It's your host, Scotty Stutch. My co-host down in Long Island, Ant Vallone.
What's up, guys?
Today I bring you one of my local guests from my hometown of Northeast PA, Joe Popovich. We call him Joe Pop. Me and Joe used to be co-workers together. He used to work at my father's restaurant. We go back a couple years. We didn't hang out when we were younger. We got acquainted about 2-3 years ago, and just right from the rip, I felt as though there was a bond that with me and him. I was just in my early stages of sobriety. I can tell Joe was struggling with sobriety when I was working with him. Tried helping him out a little bit, but it just wasn't his time. He wasn't ready. Joe's going to share with you his story, from his younger years to his later years. Today, he's just celebrated recently 1 year of sobriety, which I'm very, very proud of him. He's getting on his feet.
Congratulations, brother.
Here.
And, one day is an accomplishment. Day one is an accomplishment. Joe, this is a milestone for him, and I'm very proud of him. He was just in the paper recently. He completed this local drug program, and he had a long road ahead of him, and he's been knocking it out day by day. He's now working in a rehab facility, and he's just been doing good things for himself, all positive. He's going to school. He's in his later 30s, same age as me, and he's not afraid to start over at a later age, just like I did. He's putting in that work, and he's going to tell you a story. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's my boy Joe.
Hey, thanks, Scott. Yeah, I'm going to start real quick with what Scott said about me and him working together. I'm going to explain a little bit with that GO reentry, the DRC we were calling it. Daily Reporting Center. It was taken over by a company, GO. Well, anyway, it was, I would report every day. 3 days a week, we'd have a class for an hour and a half. It was ran by a group of counselors, and it was involved with probation. Certain days you'd go in and you'd have to piss for probation or whatever. If things were fine, it would ease up. You'd have to go to less classes. You wouldn't have to report so much, whatever. But while I was over there, I worked for Scott at his dad's place. And like, what would you say? That you were asking around about me before you got me into it?
Yeah,
like got me into the place or
like
something?
As I said, we live in like a little big town. There's like cities and there's little boroughs in between. I've been around most of the cities and everything. Not saying this in an arrogant way or anything, but like a lot of people know me within the community because of the reputation of my father's business, and just I've just been around, partying. People came to my house partying. Everybody, I know a decent amount of people. So the first thing I do is I get acquainted with Joe. I ask around about him. I'm asking in the streets, how is he, and everything like that. And a lot of people were like saying, don't trust him. He's no good. He's a bad person. And even in my non-sobriety days and my sobriety days, like I never judge others based on other people's opinions. I always gave everybody a shot. And other than I noticed deep down in Joe, I noticed that he was struggling with sobriety, with drugs and alcohol. Inside there, I don't know, I just had this vibe about him. I thought he was deep down a good person. A lot of stuff he was going through reminded me of me and what I went through. And I knew that, I tried, helping him with his sobriety, and I could just tell he was struggling deep down. And in sobriety, if you're not ready, like, it doesn't matter what anybody tells you, you're just going to keep doing you until you're ready. Selfish as it sounds.
So when I started working there, I mean, if I was able to get a job, first off, that means I wasn't a full-blown addict at the time. I wasn't completely destroying myself with drugs and alcohol. I was able to keep a job. I'd like to say, like, I was employable. And working with Scott, I could see he was like, in a way, somebody like I would like to eventually be like. He had shit going for him, you know what I mean? And I wanted that. And then on top of that, I didn't want to disappoint him. So that in turn made me a good worker. But at the same time, I was learning from him. I would leave work, and then, all that information that I just took from Scott, all that inspirational stuff that we just talked about for the past 8 hours is right out the door. I'm right back to the bottle smoking crack again, and then smoking crack again. But besides that, I'm going to start off with my story real quick. I grew up small town, West Nanticoke, not known for much, if anything. But trying to think back, my earliest memories are like um,
Play sports and like.
yeah, sports. And, yeah, all right. I was really good at sports. I was always into football, little league. Like I didn't want to jump too far ahead because I wanted to get. There was times when I'd go outside to play. Like my mom would still be sleeping. I'd wake up. My mom would still be asleep, and then I'd go out to play. And then I'd remember my mom freaking out, coming to find me because I'm making her late from work because I'm not in the house. But at the same time, how the hell am I supposed to know I'm supposed to be in the house? Like, there was no communication in my household. There was always fighting going on with my parents, my mom and dad. I'm sure there was good times. There had to have been good times. But as far as I can remember, it was very chaotic. So, I mean, I went out playing in the woods or whatever. I'd start hanging out with some older kids, smoking cigarettes. I never got into drinking or anything at an early age, but it was always trouble. It was always like I knew I wasn't doing something right. Like I was never doing, the right thing. It always felt like I was doing something wrong.
Trouble always found you?
Yeah, exactly. Trouble always found me. I'd be in the church parking lot. There'd be a circle full of big kids, and they'd have me fighting this kid Leroy. Leroy, if you're watching, what's up, buddy? Me and Leroy would be fighting the church parking lot. 2-3 times a week they'd have us out there, and it was just for it made me feel good, But anyway, moving on, there was a divorce. I ended up moving to another small town with my old man, Warrior Run. We moved out to Warrior Run. It was in the woods, and that was something I wasn't used to. We started camping out in the woods. It used to just be camping. That was it. We would take our weekends during the summer. We would go set up tents or build clubhouses out in the woods, and we would just sleep in the woods. That was it until we would clear out nice camp spots. Older people would come in. They'd bring their trucks, start playing the music and drinking beers. These old perverts are offering young girls beers. Next thing you know, the girls are drinking, the guys are drinking, everybody starts drinking. It turns into a weekend thing. Then it's 2 times a week, 3 times a week. Every day we're trying to get out in the woods to drink. Now this whole time I'm still functionable. I mean, I'm doing okay in school. I'm not doing great. Things are okay.
So you were just drinking at this time?
Yeah, just drinking. It was just drinking.
How old were you about during this time?
Like 14, 15 years old. Because I remember when the shit hit the fan, it was the second I took a Vicodin.
Oh,
First time I took a Vicodin.
Yep.
That was it.
That's it.
That was it. And drinking that wasn't important anymore. It was just, where do I get these fucking little white pills?
When I was taking them, I didn't even want to drink.
When I first started taking them, I would only need a couple of them, 2 or 3. I would snort these big fucking pills, snort these pills up, and I'd be snorting them. I'd be at parties snorting Vicodin, and people would think I was doing coke already, and I didn't even really. I mean, I knew what cocaine was, but I had no. But
Now,
anyway.
Joe, I gotta ask you before you go any farther, like the Vicodin, when you started getting into the Vicodin, we had a segment last night, and do you feel a question that or a topic that was discussed about the pills and stuff like that for people that weren't in the pills? Would you say you were more dependent on the Vicodin because of the way it made you feel, or at one point did you need it because you were getting sick from not using?
At first, it was most definitely like if I took a couple Vikes or Percocets, whatever it was at the time, I was the best pool player. I was the best at shooting darts. Primal Rage. I'd be smoking people at Primal Rage. I just felt like I was on top of the world.
Do you think that maybe some of that had to do with that you made a comment to me off camera? We spoke about this a while back about always wanting to be accepted, always wanting to be a people pleaser. You're always afraid of other people's opinion of you. Do you feel as though that you weren't relaxed if you were sober around other people because you had social anxiety? And do you think that maybe the pills and the alcohol and stuff eased that social anxiety and made you feel a little bit more at ease being around people?
Over the years, in and out of treatment, I most certainly pinpointed that was the reason that I kept wanting to take them was because I moved to this new town with all these new people I'd never met before. I gained a new brother out of it. It was a stepbrother. I got a stepsister. I was hanging out with a whole new group of friends, and I was the new kid. You know what I mean? I was a new kid. I wanted to be accepted. I never even liked beer or anything until I moved to this town. And then, I'd go out there and force myself to drink natural ice or whatever we were drinking. Keep nice at the time.
Yeah,
Jesus
natty
Christ.
ice. Joe, I just
And
have one question. Do you remember who gave you your first pill?
Absolutely.
You
100%.
do, right?
Yeah, his name's Carl. Yep, his name's Carl.
I always blame it on
Crazy.
the
I
first
remember where I
fucking. Yep.
was. Yep, everything.
I didn't mean to
But
interrupt you. Keep going.
no, you're good. That's funny you said that because usually when I tell the story in front of a group of people, I bring that up, like where I was, who gave it to me, and it's
crazy.
funny you brought that up.
Fucking Carl.
Fucking Carl, man. He's probably
But,
fucking either dead now, or is he dead or alive?
I don't know. I mean, the last I saw his brother was in county, which I'll get to. I spent a lot of
Keep
time
going.
in and out of county.
Keep going, brother.
But yeah. So, like any kind of substance abuse, it just progressed. You know what I mean? I needed more and more to feel that effect. You know what I mean? And I would feel worse and worse, and I would need more and more to get back up. Well, so there was this other buddy of mine. He used to hang out with his father. It was weird. Him and his dad. I can't say it was weird because I guess it was a cool thing. Whatever. He hung out with his dad like it was his best friend, and his father would hang out with the nephews. So it was like this little group guys hanging out together all the time. Well, Brian was the youngest guy, but he would get heroin. Eventually, everybody got turned on the pills.
Yeah.
Everybody got turned on the pills eventually. Brian and his older cousin introduced him to heroin, and then next thing you know, the heroin got passed off to me.
It's over
and the weird thing is, when I first started doing the heroin, it was like it wasn't like proud, but I wanted people to know, like, oh, I started shooting dope. You know what I mean? It was weird. It was weird. So,
It went thick through our valley, like our age group. There was a lot of people that got hooked. That a lot of people didn't come out of it. A lot of people that still use. I mean, I could have did it any time I wanted to. I thank God every day. I was around it all the time back in the day when I was with a different crew of people. That just never, even though as messed up as I got on other stuff, that's one thing that I thank God that like I never experimented. Like my best friend, he was around. He was around all the time, and he always had it on him. I never. Thank God, I just never fell into that trap.
And I would say the same thing. But now heroin graduated so much that now people are just hooked on fentanyl. Like they don't even want the dope.
All it is.
I'm not going to mention any names, but he goes to me one day. He goes, "Bro, I don't fucking do heroin. I do fentanyl. Heroin does shit for me." And just thinking about it, a guy fucking banging straight fentanyl. He's like, "I can't die. I'm addicted to fentanyl. It won't kill me." And I'm like, dude, just hearing that is like, you're fucking addicted to the strongest drug in the world. And he's like, it can't kill me. I'm addicted to it. I can't imagine.
That's insane. Like,
It's crazy.
people are going out from like, you get half a bag. People are going out.
Yeah.
That people that have used heroin their whole life, they get a half a bag of some bad fentanyl and they're gone. And this guy's
just shooting fentanyl.
Jesus.
My friend, rest in peace, I'm not going to say his name, but there was like this much of it, and he OD'd, and this guy's shooting bags of it. It's like maybe he is fucking like, maybe you can't take him out. I don't know how it works.
So Joe, how old were you when you first?
Sorry to get off topic.
For the first time, like around what age were you in? Later in high school, or?
I was about 18.
So you were a senior.
I say I was 18 years old. I was able to make it through high school and skin of my teeth. Going like Adderall, Stackers, back when Stackers were still good. Like they had the stuff. You know what a Stacker is?
Ephedra.
Yeah, they had the ephedra in them. I would take the Adderall stackers, pills, and drinking. That was high school.
Yeah.
And then when I graduated high school, I also graduated to heroin. The heroin, that's when, like, all the actual consequences started. Um, because that sickness came a lot quicker with the heroin, and it was you think in the beginning when you started, like, oh, I can $20 for this little bag, and I'm good, to where I was spending 80, 90, $100 on pills every day. Now it's, $20 on a bag. It's like, oh, that's a smart move. But no, in the long run, that's when the charges started. Like I was saying before we started recording here, I started getting felony forgery. Yeah, my first set of charges was 5 counts of felony forgery, unauthorized use of a motor vehicle, because we don't have what is it?
Grand Theft Auto.
Grand Theft Auto. I guess we don't have Grand Theft Auto, so unauthorized use of a motor vehicle, and theft by deception or something. My first time getting in trouble, first time going in front of a judge, I got hit with so just below 24 months. I did maybe 6 months, and then I was released to a program. And that's one thing I think I got lucky coming up, because all these drug and alcohol programs started hitting the valley, or hitting the county or whatever, and they were looking for people, good candidates to pursue these programs or whatever. But yeah, I literally, before I came here, I went on the computer and I printed out a list of my charges, because I literally cannot sit here and remember everything that I did, from all the thefts, and this is all heroin related, most heroin related. Later on in life, I turned to crack and whiskey, but I mean, up until like maintenance came a big thing, like not even methadone. I'm talking, like, there was, back in like 2011, I ended up getting myself on methadone, which saved my life. I ended up getting a girl pregnant. We lived together. Bath salts. Anybody remember bath salts?
Oh yeah, man.
Oh man, I put myself in the hospital 3 times. I was in the mental hospital
Bro,
3 times due to bath salts.
how do you do bath salts? What do you, sniff it or eat it?
The first, you were supposed to sniff it, but
who found out that it gets you high? Like, what idiot would think a bath salt?
the same people that
I
they
guess
tell
the
you,
same
like,
people that are on
K2
heroin
and stuff, like,
yeah.
they know what they're doing when they put shit out there.
Hell
You know what
yeah,
I mean?
bro.
They know exactly what they're doing. But yeah, the bath salts. The first time I did it, it was because I was already comfortable with the needle. It was right in my arm, and I was on my way to work. I was working at a factory at that time, and it spun me.
What does it feel like? Does it burn when you
No, it has like a vanilla taste to it. It just, yeah. But then I can only compare it to meth right now.
Yeah.
I only did meth a few times, but that's what I can compare it to.
Wow.
But so doing the heroin, like I said, it's a blur. That's the homeless, in and out of treatments. I can't tell you, I've been in countless rehabs, only to come home and immediately, like, oh, I'm gonna go throw away my spoon and needle and then scrape that freaking cotton. You know what I mean? And that's it. It was a waste. 90 days or 60 days I just did in rehab. 30 days I just did in rehab was a complete waste. All that talking on the phone to my dad, I'm so sorry. I'll be home. Even though I meant it deep down from the bottom of my heart, I meant it. I was going to be good when I came home. All out the window, you know? That's one thing I truly believe, that when somebody's messing up and, like, these people, like, they want to get better, they say they want to be better, I do believe that they mean it. It just...
Yeah, you gotta have to want to help yourself. That's what we were saying last night. Anybody could try to help you, but you need to want to get the help. And that's what succeeds. Did you have any fights in jail? How was jail for you? Did you have a lot of problems? Were you fighting?
You were the fighting. I was listening to the club scene part 2 that you guys did, and that was good. I enjoyed that one. But yeah, as far as fights go, it was always always the same scenario, just somebody trying to punk you over something stupid. I remember I got in a fight on Easter morning. It was Easter morning over a fucking egg. They gave us dyed eggs in the morning for in our lunch trays. On holidays we would get special trays. We get double trays,
Yeah.
extra stacks of cake and extra food or whatever, and just young punk. And I say young punk like he was younger than I was at the time. I might have been 23 or something. He might have been 19 or whatever. Says something stupid about egg salad, and it's like you say it in front of a group of people. Like I have to do something. Look where we are, you know. And then just how it happens. You go in the cell, you bang it out quick, and that's it. One person goes to the infirmary, the other person's running the block after.
That's
that.
right.
No, it's county. It's county jail. Nobody wants to do anything. Like the CO comes around, that's when they get loud. You know what I mean? They want to be in front of the camera, that's when they get loud.
Right.
You know what I mean? The person that's going to do something isn't saying a fucking word, and you know that.
They want half the people want to do their time and leave.
Yeah.
Now, like for our viewing audience, like some people's perception of like a county prison, like they think like it's like on the movies where you have like 3 cells and it's like a sheriff sitting in an office chair and stuff. Like where we come from, like we're in a little big city, so like our county prison is 7 floors high.
Wow.
There's 7 floors on it.
Is it really?
It's yeah, and I mean our county prison was once like there's actually 2 separate buildings. There's the main facility, which is like if you watch my intro, there's on the silver
castle.
It looks like a castle.
Yeah. And
it's 7 floors high. We actually about 5-6 years ago there was nationwide news. There's a broken elevator in our county prison, and an inmate and a guard fell down the elevator shaft, and both God rest both of their souls. They passed away. It's not your drunk tank where we come from. Like and it's no Rikers Island like you guys have down in New York, but we have a lot of backflow right now in our little big city, I like to call it. When me and Joe were growing up, it was a lot of local people. Now we get a lot of backflow because we're only an hour and a half from New York City,
Exactly.
and we're an hour and a half from Philly.
So that's a melting
So a lot of
pot.
people found out it's cheaper to live up here, and they're redeveloping the area where we live because there's a lot of highway access to like Route 80, 81, the Turnpike. There's a lot of big warehouse jobs that pay like $20, $21, $22 an hour to start. People sick of living in the big city, they come here, which is still a city, but it's a smaller version of a city, and there's a lot of outskirts. So like our county prison, it's not the worst in the world, but it's not no little drunk tank, with a sheriff guarding out in the front desk. Like, our county's like, it's pretty. If you're doing time there, it's definitely not. It's not an enjoyable experience. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, because you have like a melting
The
pot.
longest time I spent in the county was 14 months. That's to some people that's nothing or whatever, but hey, it was a
Listen,
big deal for
14
me.
months, man, is 14 months. That's a long time to be somewhere.
Right.
That you get comfortable 14 months.
Yeah, started to
That's
kick
a
back.
fucking long
Ended up getting a kitchen job. I was down in the kitchen. That's where another fight happened, right in the cooler. Same scenario, same situation. You get punked in front of a group of people, you have to do something.
You have to, or else everyone's gonna punk you.
So it got to the point to where I was going, if the kitchen, like they had kitchen COs, and they've worked there for years, like they would see me come in, I'd be in the holding tank, and they would say, write down, and they would have me write down in the kitchen within, you had to wait 30 days, 60 days or whatever to get down in the kitchen. I'd have a kitchen job in 2 weeks.
Wow.
That's how frequently I was there, if that makes sense. But yeah, throughout my 20s, I took a lot of females hostage, unfortunately. I start relationships knowing that I'm in no state of mind or condition to have a relationship, and I'm just using these girls for what they have. You have a car, you have some kind of bank account, you can cash checks for me. Like that's what I was doing, and I would ride that till the wheels fall off until I was back in the jail again. Come out and do it again. More recently, I just had a son. He's 3. But the woman that I had him with, she has been with me throughout this for the past. It's got to be over 10 years. She's been doing this, and it hasn't been consistent, because there's been times where, I would go away, and she would have her chance to get away. You know what I mean? Change her number, do what she had to do, and then, social media, you see that, like, oh, Joey's doing good. I'll shoot him a message. You know what I mean? Or I'll, miss her or whatever, and send her a message, and the next thing you know, we're back together again. And that's just how it's been. And throughout this whole time, holding this woman hostage, her kids, putting them through hell, multiple PFAs I had put on me from just like going through these crack psychoses where I'd be with the kids in the house. I'm like locking or screwing the windows shut in the basement and like hiding knives in the house and just thinking people are out to get me. And, she's a good mom, so she, as much as she loves me, I have to put a PFA on you, back in jail. And now getting older, seeing like I have my own son, thinking back to how things were when I was younger and seeing other people and how their families are and where they went, like I wanted something better this time. And again, I was telling him prior, like, you know when you're ready and you know when you're not ready. My father took me to treatment multiple times, and halfway down I'm just like, pull over, I'm getting out, I'm not doing it, I'm not ready. And of course it'd break his heart, whatever, as hard as it would be. He would leave me wherever the hell I was, drop me off in Altoona, Pennsylvania at a Sheetz or something. I'd buy a Four Loko or whatever I could, find the nearest hotel, and just try to find drugs.
And that's, did you ever go homeless? Like, were you ever
homeless? Yeah, that was off the heroin. I mean,
yeah, that shit's bad, man. That's a lot. That'll take all your money.
When you run out of your schemes, you do everything that you possibly can do to get money, and you exhaust every avenue of getting money. There's nothing to do but find a spot and try to stick it out. I find abandoned houses. I remember this one time I woke up on a porch. I was on this front porch sleeping on a bag of garbage, and there's something sticking me in the back, and I pull the thing out, and it's a fucking rat this big. I pull the fucking rat out.
Oh my god!
Sleeping on a rat. Yeah.
We had.
It was dead. It was a dead rat. It was dead.
Yeah. Who was that, Scott? Who else was homeless? Who else was homeless? Mike, yeah. So you're the second person, like, to the audience that's watching this. Like, it's no joke. These guys fucking went, and it happens to women too, just as much as men. If you go on and look in Philadelphia, look at all those streets that are living in tents. Addiction is no joke. That shit will take everything from you. Your family,
not to say
your
this,
friends.
Yeah, not to say this in a disrespectful way to women, because I have a lot of respect for women. I don't segregate. Men are better than women.
No,
women are better than men.
Not
like
at
that.
all.
But the thing that, and this is the thing I want to announce to women watching right now that are struggling with addiction. It's much easier for them to survive than it is a man. Like Joe and homeless. Usually, a woman could sell their body to get ahead, like to get more shit, to have a place to crash, because a lot of guys are disrespectful to women, and they'll take that opportunity. Yeah, I'll keep feeding this girl drugs because I'm going to keep getting what I want. And that's, like, women out there, like, you need to, like, if you're struggling with addiction and that's your route out, you really, like, definitely need to, like, get help ASAP, because, you're going to end up getting severely hurt, or something worse is going to happen to you. You're going to come in contact with some sort of disease that can't be cured, or it's just there's a lot of a lot worse stuff. Like a guy can go homeless. A lot of detrimental stuff can happen to it. But like if a woman starts selling her body or something like that to get
that's
what she
even
wants,
worse. I mean, you're comparing the both, but a man could go homeless and his family could be done with it, but a woman could get picked up by a pimp, and you gotta fuck random guys all day. against your will, and then he'll give you your drugs. So it's even worse for women to go
Well,
through
because
this.
not it's like from a mental standpoint, like Joe's reminiscent going down memory road. I can reminisce going down memory road. Like I don't think women understand the situation they're going to put themselves in with some of the bad situations. Like that tape's going to get replayed in their head over and
Yeah,
over and over again. Like I'm a 19-year-old girl hooked on heroin, and I was sleeping with like 60, 70-year-old men taking advantage of me beyond my
yes,
will because I needed to get money to like that tape is gonna replay in your head psychologically that is actually gonna be put you in a worse situation because you're gonna actually get PTSD from
Yeah.
stuff like that. And that may prevent you from staying sober because now you got that tape replaying in your head because of the stuff that like one thing we can't do in addiction is we can't live in the past.
no,
You can't. There's nothing you can do to change it. But that message I'm sending right now to all the women out there, if the women that didn't get to that point or the women that are at that point, like cut ties quick and go find help because that is going to victimize you for the rest of your life and it's going to put you in a terrible situation. I have a lot of empathy for women that are in that situation. I don't think any woman should be taken advantage of to the point where they're receiving money for sexual favors. I just think it's a terrible way for any woman to live. I mean, you know, there if everybody has a mother and a father. I think that would be every father's worst nightmare who has a daughter, for them to experience their daughter going down that road. And that just I don't know, just something that really like I would hate to see anybody go down that path. That's just it's sad. It
yeah,
really
man.
is.
It's just
I'm lost for words of what I want to say.
it's just to have. My point was just it's just as easy for girls to fall down that trap as it is men. Everybody's human, but a man could go homeless, and a girl could get picked up by a pimp, or or have sex for drugs, and that's, if you want to call it more degrading or less degrading. But I know I have a sister, and she's going through it right now. And for me, trying to help my sister get away from all these fucking scumbags that are giving her drugs, and I know what she's doing for it. I'm so close to it. I have empathy for it because it's in my family. Like, I gotta beat up these drug dealers that come here. I gotta get my you know what and walk outside and tell them to get off my driveway. My sister's an active drug addict right now. So I'm as close as you can to a female selling her body and getting drugs. And now she's with this little twerp who's a fucking jailbird, and it's just them two on the street. Birds of a feather flock together, and that's it. All I was saying, it's just as easy for a girl to fall down that path, just as a man. You know what I'm saying? It's just as easy. I see it every day. So
Yeah, people might be thinking like, oh, why don't you just go take her to treatment, go get her
they don't
help?
want to get
And
help. She tells me,
yeah,
"Fuck you,
it's not like that.
I'm leaving."
What, you take her to treatment so she can just leave
Exactly, bro.
again?
She's been in there like
And that's
18 times. When does it end? You know how much money my parents spent? That shit ain't cheap. And
no.
like 11 of them she snuck out of. You have to want to get sober. You, not your family around you. You have to want to inside be like, listen, I got two kids. I lost one already. I'm about to lose the other one. Where the fuck does this end? And that's just how I feel about it. You know, everybody can have their own opinion. That's my opinion on it.
Joe brought up a pretty solid subject that I can relate to. My parents got divorced when I was 13, and before they got divorced, my family life was pretty good. There was a lot of fighting between my parents towards the end. They just couldn't coincide with one another. My dad was running three businesses, making a lot of money, never home. My mom, him and my mom would butt heads a lot, And then, when I was 13, they decided that they were going to make it official and get divorced. And, you know, Joe brought that up for a reason. Like, and this wasn't even rehearsed or discussed prior to the camera rolling. This is just something that just got in my head when he was talking about, because it started making me think. And, like, I feel as though, like, when my parents officially made it official that they were getting divorced, and my mom had a new significant other, my dad had a new significant other, I feel as though, like, I acted like I was okay with it, but I think I had a lot of built-up resentment because of the change I was going through in my life. I mean, I was just becoming a teenager. I was alert on what was going on. So I feel as though that, like, that was my early stages of when I started falling down a bad path. Now, I didn't start getting addicted to stuff and, get involved in the substance until I was, like, 19 or 20. But I feel as though that's when, like, the whole resentment phase started. Like, I might have not been using substance, but I started getting in trouble and stuff like that. And I noticed myself, and now that I can replay and pinpoint a timeline, I noticed that that's when I started developing inner anger, inner aggression, because I didn't talk to anybody about my problems. I was a 13-year-old kid. I didn't know how to coincide with that. So, like, I went from growing up in a good neighborhood with good families, and then I noticed myself after, like, I took that transition that was beyond my control. I'm a 13-year-old kid. Like, I can't control what my parents are going to do. I noticed myself veering off at school, junior high, high school. I didn't want to be around people that came from, like, a structured home or, like, had that good family life, because, like, I was envious of them because they had what I once had. And not saying that, like, when my parents split up, like, both my parents found two good significant others that were very respectful to me and my younger brother. My stepdad, he eventually became my stepdad, and, he was a great stepdad. He never overstepped his boundaries. He didn't try being our father. He was great to my mom. I respect him. Same thing with my dad's. Still, he's with her till this day. His fiance, she was good to me and my brother and everything like that. There was never anything, but it was just the point that my parents weren't together no more, and I believe that me holding that inside me kept a lot of inner aggression with me, and that's where I started trying to find trouble, and trouble started attracting me because I didn't want to be around normal people nowhere. I wanted to be around people that came from, like, what you would call, like, broken homes or unstructured environments, or people that hit that bad break or that speed bump in their lifestyle. And could you agree with that, Joe?
Yeah, it's not always, like, it doesn't have to. All right, with the divorce, like, I think I was too young to actually, like, get that deep in with it. It was after the divorce is what affected me, like, the outcome of the divorce. But I mean, the trauma doesn't have to directly affect somebody to, like, how can I explain it? It can happen to somebody else. Like, for example, my father, after the first divorce, he married, and then there was a horrible breakup on that end. My dad tried to commit suicide. That was something he did. But, you know what I mean? That messed me up from what I understand and how I feel about the whole thing. Was I messed up before that? Sure. But it was, that was just another reason. That was just another reason to keep going and going and going. It was more fuel on the fire.
Yeah. Why don't you go back to the jail, Joe? Like, you did.
Go back to where, all right.
Did the 14 months, right? Then what happened after that?
So, see, it's that the whole. My 20s are such a blur because it was such the same repetitive situation. It was, I would come out.
Vicious cycle.
I would come out. I would get some kind of charge for, like, it was retail thefts, or there was two. All right, here we go. I got in just recently. There was I forget what the charges are called, but 2 high-speed chases.
Wow.
Minus the charges, like, explain, like, the incident. Who cares about the charges? Like, what was the story that happened?
Okay, so I was supposed to go to the grocery store for something I wanted. I just wanted to get out of the house. I said I was going to the grocery store, and instead of going right to go to the grocery store, I made a left to go to the strip club. I went to the strip club. Had a couple drinks at the strip club, and mind you, every time I get in trouble, there's always benzos involved. And benzos weren't like, I can't say they're like a big, like, I've never went out looking for them. You know what I mean? So it's like I don't bring them up much, but if somebody had them, I would take them. And it just seems like every time I took them, I got in trouble. I was
Blackout.
So she starts calling me. I thought you were going to the grocery store. Where the hell are you? So I run out to the car. I start flying down Main Street in Plymouth, and I just happen to fly past the cop. The cop pulls out, tries to pull me over, and something told me just go. I had nothing on me. I mean, I had, I probably would have got a DUI or whatever, but I turned a DUI into something much worse. I had, there was 4 different townships, 4 different police departments chasing me. I took them 120 miles an hour over Carrier Bridge, and all I can think of the whole time was just get the car back. It wasn't my car; it was my girl's car. How many things I destroyed of my girl? It's disgusting how she's still with me, but I just wanted to get the car back home because I knew if it got towed, we didn't have the money to get it out. So get the car back to the house. And I pulled over. I thought I was in front of my house. I was in front of my neighbor's house, a couple houses up. I jumped out of the car. I never put it in park, so the car keeps drifting down the road, hits another car, and I ran into some backyards. I tried jumping the fence. I got caught up on the fence. The cops grabbed me, gave me a little beating, and the whole time they're looking for drugs. Like, where is it? Where'd you throw it? Where'd you throw it? And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. And they had no idea why I ran, and at the end of it, I had no idea why I ran. It was just something told me to go. The same thing with the other one. It was a year prior. I was in Wilkes-Barre. I almost ran over a cop. I got charged for this, so I'm not afraid to say it. Whatever, you know what I mean. I got charged for it.
Cop.
I took him on a little chase. This wasn't a high-speed chase, but I was definitely fleeing and eluding.
Were you high or drunk at the time?
Yeah, I slow rolled a stop sign, and the cop right in front of the cop. He tried to pull me over. I hit a couple back alleys, and I parked the car. And then instead of parking behind me, he parked like next to me. So I backed out, and when I backed out, he was already out of his car, and I almost hit him.
Shit.
So they tried to get me with aggravated on a police officer.
How much did they give you
I don't
for
know
that?
what. I don't even remember. I had an escape charge on top of it. I was in the back of Edwardsville Police Department. Cop, nice as can be. He unhandcuffed me to let me smoke a cigarette and do my fingerprints. I fucking ran out the back door. They have like the garages. The police department was right next to the fire station, and the garage where they would park all the cars. They were all coming in and I guess it was shift change or something, because every time I saw the door open, I just saw these open garage ports. And so I figured I'm going to throw this cigarette butt away in the garbage can, and I'm going to take off. So I took off there, escape charge. The program saved my life, and I don't know if it's because like my demeanor once I get my stuff together, how I can present myself, and I talk to these people. As far as like the police officers, the judges, or whatever, I never had a paid attorney. I had a paid attorney once, but it wasn't for anything. It was to get off like probation early or something. But I've always gotten these programs. They always, he's a good candidate for this. He's a good candidate for that. And it wasn't until this last time, it was a year and a half ago now. It was my 3rd time violating probation in front of the same judge for the same charge, and it was the last charge I just spoke of, which was the high-speed chase. And I went to court like I was going to jail. I was ready to go, and I had already had a few months in. I had started college. I started going to the community college. I had a pretty good job. I was good doing my meetings. It's just everything I was supposed to be doing, I was doing it. And part of it was, because I knew I had court, and the other part of it was because I just felt done. Like whatever, if I was faking it, I was faking it, but it still got me to where I am right now. You know, in the beginning, my father stood up and he told the judge, "I've never seen him like this before. I've never seen the passion he has for just wanting to do better. Like he wants things now. He pursues things. Like I used to think I couldn't go to school because I had felonies. Like, does that even make sense? Well, you can't go to school
Well,
because
you
you have
think that
felonies?
you can't get some job, so I would
Yeah, it's the
want to think
jobs.
that, but they try.
Yeah, but I ended up getting hired as a phlebotomist at a local plasma
Wow.
center, using my old skills as a freaking yeah. I ended up getting fired 2 months later due to a background check, but I mean they hired
Yeah.
me. You know, I got to do it for a little bit, and
Out of
then
this. Wow.
yeah, I was just hooking people up. I wasn't taking blood. I was just hooking them up to these plasma machines.
While we're on that topic, I wanna go back to what Joe was saying about like he thought that he could never go to college because he had felonies, but what he's not telling you is like he never actually he made that. That's where like you know us as people, it doesn't even matter if you're an addict. Don't always assume. Like do your own research. Like you know. Me and Joe had these talks outside on the back, like in between, like me and Joe were, you know, working in my dad's kitchen in between checks. Like I was trying to build him. I was about a year sober when I met Joe, so like I was trying to instill to him, like, because he's the same age as me, and I mean, the difference between me and Joe is like Joe's like rap sheet is like a phone book, and I told him, I said, Joe, I said like he's like, yeah, I'm never gonna get a decent job. I'm always gonna be working dead end jobs. I just want to like I want to start fresh. I want a clean slate, and I'm like, well, bro, you got to stop going back to fucking jail. Like, yeah, you got a rap sheet, but like it stops here. Like, you don't want to bleed out, so like stop the bleeding now. Like, I said to him, I was like, you got to stop chasing that instant gratification and thinking that like everything that you did that came with consequences of your past, it's gonna take time for that shit to go away. You gotta put in that work. You gotta start out at the bottom and work your way back up. Like you're gonna work dead end jobs. I told him, I was like, work 2 dead end jobs. Don't give yourself that free time. Give your paychecks to your girl. Let her manage your money. Like I was giving him any advice I could, and like I just kept trying to instill to him that Joe, just because you did all that in the past, it's never too late to start over. The problem is with people that don't want to start over, they don't want to give it that time. They don't have the patience. Because we live right now in a very, very impatient time. Everybody wants to happen really fast. And especially when people like us make mistakes, it's hard to envision, like, after going backwards so many times. And like I always say on every episode, like, I'm not where I want to be, but I'm not where I once was either. So, like, you always got to keep taking those baby steps, up steps, rather than falling back down them. So, like, Joe now is still at a rebuilding phase, being a year in sobriety. He's in a lot better position than he was, but he's still not where he wants to be ideally. I mean, countless, charges, restitution. I mean, it's going to cause more difficulty for him to land that job he's looking for, but time heals everything, and as long as he's doing the right things, not going back to jail, not relapsing, putting himself in back things, he's constantly going to keep growing. It might be at a little bit of a slower pace than that guy that was a Boy Scout and never got in trouble, and right out of college he gets that career-ending job. It sucks watching that unfold, but we made those mistakes and we got to live with them. It's either you can't just keep going backwards because you're already at a fork in the road and you're like, man, I got all these challenges I'm facing. Like, it's going to be a long road to try and gain success. Well, you could gain success, but you got to put that work in. You got to make those sacrifices. You got to get rid of people, places, and things. You have to make those changes. It's fucking sacrifice. You can't have FOMO, which is fear of missing out. You can't be sitting there an alcoholic and being like, man, I don't want to work 2 jobs. I'm missing something at the bar where all my friends are. No, they ain't your friends. They're not. They don't care what you're doing. Nobody cares.
They're not your friends.
They don't care. Nobody cares. And you're not missing nothing. Like, what you think you're missing, you ain't missing shit. All you're missing out is on opportunities to better yourself. by going back there.
That's another thing, missing out. Talk about missing out. All the stuff I missed with my family. Like, other than my 3-year-old, I have an 11-year-old daughter. Her name's Leah. And I feel like the guilt that I felt, and I still feel at times, from all the things that I missed with her. It's like my son he's getting the better part of it now. And I feel bad for her. But all I can do is try to do better for both of them now. But talk about making strides forward, other than, going to the school. I'm working at the rehab. I'm also taking EMT classes every other Saturday. I drive out to Tawana. It's like an hour and a half away, an hour and 40 minutes away. And I do these EMT classes. And it's another thing that when I'm doing the registration during class, and it's like, what's your criminal background? And I'm like, okay, well, let's see if I can get over this hump. I'm not going to let it beat me down anymore, because these strides that I take, gets me further away from the bullshit. It is what it is, and it's not like I'm not going backwards. As long as I'm not going backwards, I'm
That's
good.
it. And your
I'm
daughter,
good.
she knows now. Your daughter will have a good life. Listen, better late than never. Your daughter's gonna have a good life. You seem like a great guy, and your daughter's gonna enjoy you just like your son's getting the best of you. She's gonna do the same thing. You're making strides. You're driving an hour and a half to go take these classes. You're doing it. Like Scott says, keep going, man. Keep pushing forward. You made your bed. You got to lay in it now. Just fucking keep going. Keep pushing. The sky's the limit.
I remember like it was yesterday. It was about 3 years ago. Joe saying to me, like, I'd come into work and he's like, dude, how do you do it, man? I'm like, do what? And he's like, you're working here like 60 hours a week, sweating your ass off in this kitchen. You're going to CDO school for 8 hours before you get here. He's like, how you doing? I'm like, I don't want to do it. I'm keeping myself occupied. I'm keeping myself busy. And when you're going through all that, like you're working the job you don't want to work the rest of your life, you're going to school and you're not making any money from this, like you're not seeing the big picture at the end. It's hard to fathom that that's going to eventually come to an end. Like Joe going to EMT every other week or whatever, eventually that's going to put him in a way better position. It may seem like, he's not getting anywhere and he's spinning his wheels in the mud, but you have to really evaluate your situation. Like, he's got to wake up and say to himself, man, I'm waking up in my bed. I'm not sick. I'm not withdrawing from drugs. I'm not in a prison cell, so I'm already off to a good day. So I'm not in prison. I'm not waking up sick from drug use. Yeah, I'm not an EMT yet, but eventually I'm like, those classes they're going to be over, as you keep going to them, they'll be over. It's hard to envision, like, when you're doing all that stuff, it's hard to see the end picture where, like, once you reach that, and it feels like forever, but then one day, like, stuff just starts happening, and it's the more sacrifice you make, the more hard work you put in, everything just starts forming. And once it starts forming, it just starts ballooning. And you probably start seeing that already, like, a little bit, but not where you want it to be, but it's coming. You know what I mean? You feel.
I know. I see where it's heading, or where it could head.
And then all the good stuff that you have is going to outweigh the bad stuff. So they're going to say, yeah, this kid's got all these charges, but look at all the good stuff he's done. So now you're like this. Right. And they'll give you a chance. How old are you?
The best.
I'm Scotty's age,
You're
37.
37. Well, I thought you were younger. Yeah. All right.
I get that a lot. I've been getting that my whole life.
And I mean, it's the best thing you can do, Ann, is like what I do. I can give like my audience some advice, and you guys can take it too if you want. Like, I have on my bedside, I have like a piece of paper, and there's always like scribbles on it, and I just keep constantly flipping it. But like, I hold myself accountable, and that's not stuff many people do. I hold myself accountable unless, like, life happens, okay? And as long as it's not sobriety based, I don't really beat myself up over it. Like, if I say, hey, I want to get to the gym 5 days this week, but I only get there 4, like, if something happened where I got stuck at work late or something like that, or I wanted to do one of these podcasts and it interfered with, a workout or something like that, I'm not going to beat myself up over it. But I do like to hold myself accountable, because every, like, month or so or every couple weeks, I like to create myself a short-term and long-term goal list. So, like, short-term is, like, within the near future. Like, Joe's might be, like, say his EMT program's like a 2-3 month course. That would be, like, a short-term goal he wants to knock out. long term goal would be like if he's trying to achieve like a 2-year college degree,
Yeah.
and you're continue his right. That's a long term goal. So like short term, long term goal. Hold yourself accountable. If you're not meeting your goals, write it down. Take a self inventory. Why am I not meeting my goals? Like, are you being lazy? Are you still, not thinking right? Should you hit a meeting or whatever it is? You need to call somebody that can help you get through a time you're going through. Like, hold yourself accountable.
Yeah, write down a list of all your goals you want to do. Write it down. Helps
Like,
you, right? Get a book. Write what you want to get done just for that day and get through it. And if you
Another
didn't
thing
get
I
to,
like to do
cross it out.
on top of the writing the stuff down, I don't go that route much anymore as I used to, but like just telling myself out loud that I'm not a piece of shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Just say good things. Positive affirmations are huge. You know what I mean? If I'm driving in the car by myself, you know what I
really.
mean? Just I talk to myself a lot. And it's almost weird. But yeah, positive affirmations. And another thing, I don't want like if I ever have those thoughts, I'm able to think about my family and the people that support me now, and like yeah, I don't want to mess up for myself, but like they're behind me now.
Nope.
I'm starting to come up. I'm starting to feel better about myself. They say put yourself first, but I always put myself, and then my family's right there, and I don't want to lose what I have ever again. I'm getting everything that I'm gaining. I just don't want to lose.
you feel time heals?
Yeah, absolutely, time heals. For anybody that thinks time doesn't heal, believe me, time heals.
I used to literally leave work like in my beginning stages of sobriety, and like my father would like talk to me the whole ride home, and I'm like thinking in my head, I'm like, I just want to like de-escalate. I want to just listen to music and just drive home, and like I'd be like, as soon as I like left work, that phone would ring, and I'm like, this motherfucker, and like I could tell he's just like, I'm not an idiot. Like he's trying to keep on the phone with me the whole time. And at that time, I was like only in my early stages of sobriety. I hated it. Like it was either him or another family member knowing I was getting out of work, and they wanted to call me because they were afraid I was going to stop somewhere on the way
Yeah.
home. So they stay on me the whole fucking way. Like, and then like like they'd be like, "Oh, are you home?" Like asking me questions about I would only be able to answer if I was home and stuff. And like just to stay on the phone with me the whole time. And like at the time, I'm like, man, like lay off me. But then I'm thinking to myself, like, as time progressed and like they stopped calling me like a little less and less as like months went on and stuff like that, then I seen the big picture and I'm like, they're doing that because they
Yeah,
love
of
me.
course.
They're not doing it to be pains in the ass.
Yeah.
They don't want to see me. They want to make sure that like I get to where I want to be, and like their whole like I created that bond of broken trust because of the lies and all the bullshit I put them through. Like so, I can't get mad at them for doing that when they were doing it because I made that bed and I had to lay in it. You know what I
Right.
mean? And it's just it was tough. And Joe said something earlier. I don't want to portray us to be like we're badasses, we're tough guys and stuff like that. But like Joe said, growing up, he got in his share of fights, and he had a hard time walking away from trouble and stuff like that. And today, like he's trying to be a different person. He's trying to be a changed man. And like today, like he felt some sort of way. He encountered something, and handling adversity, walking away from stuff rather than being pride driven. And like that's a big step, is being able to handle adversity, like especially in like work environment. Like there's some people that get off by disrespecting you, and it's like, are you going to be pride driven when you're offered opportunities? Like Joe's rebuilding himself, so do you to save face in front of people, do you escalate the situation and do you handle it in a violent manner, or do you take a deep breath, figure it out and be like, it's not that deep? Like you get like on my way to the studio tonight, like there was this asshole that he was on a motorcycle and he was just riding me like for like 10 miles just on me, and I'm like I hope this guy passes me soon. He's high beaming me. I don't know like what he was trying to do. I don't know. He might have been on drugs. I don't know. But like I was starting to like get nervous because I was afraid how I was going to react to it when I got to the next traffic
Yeah.
light. And like, luckily he turned off and everything like that. But like, you start getting like nervous because like you take yourself back to your past stuff like that. And I'm thinking like, well, what if this guy like really just was like looking for a problem? Like, what if like wherever I'm going, he follows me and like something comes out of it, and then like I don't come home tonight, you know, like because you don't know, you know what I mean, like you know, if I'm in fear for my life or something happens, like, and it's like learning how to like avoid that adversity or handle it the proper way.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about last night. Like nowadays, these people with road rages, they have guns on them. So God forbid you hop out on somebody and they take a pistol out and you get shot over fucking road rage. Like we're a little. I the old me would have hopped out, but the new me takes a step back and I look at the situation. Is this fucking retard really gonna get me in trouble or possibly pull a gun out on me? And knowing my luck, I'll get a fucking bullet. It's not worth it.
That was another thing back when, like, I was doing my thing and I'd be going out with people. I almost felt like I had a reputation I had to stand up,
Yeah, me
like
too.
keep up. Like if I was going out with people, people knew that something was gonna happen. Like, oh, something's gonna happen with Joe tonight.
Yeah.
You know, they wanted to be
They
there,
were
and like
rooting
I felt
on.
like I had to keep up that reputation. Somebody cocks off to me at Turkey Hill, like, all right, yeah, it's going down.
And they
Something, you know,
wanted to
but.
do that.
I don't know.
Fueled our egos.
Yeah, exactly. I felt on top of the world. I could be the biggest screw up in the world, but if at the end of the day I was like tough, that's all that matters.
Exactly.
It's something that you had going. And I mean, you know, a lot of people like say like I hear like third party, like nobody will actually say it to me or anything like that, but like I see comments, I hear people shit talking and stuff like that, and they're like, you know, why are you guys going on, you know, cameras, airing out all your old dirty laundry, and you know, and like I'm gonna tell you, like, you know, it's not easy for people to, like, I know a lot of people with some great sobriety stories, and they just don't want to share them, and like they're still so afraid, like they're not afraid, but like they just don't want the positive negative results that's gonna come with it, and like. They're not willing. I don't think they want to deal with the adversity of it, and like, you know, it takes a lot of courage for people to come on here, and that's why, like, not to bring them up again, but that's why like idiots like Forklift Phil, like I had to bring him up. You know what I mean? Like for like I'm gonna use him as an example for you know constant because like it's just relevant, man. Like it takes a lot of courage for people to come out and actually share their story. Like Joe went deep
Yeah, you
tonight.
didn't
You know
have
what I
to
mean?
do
Like.
that.
No, and like, you know, that's like, you know, like people say like, you know, it's embarrassing. It's not embarrassing. It's he's an achiever now, you know what I mean? And now he's trying to overachieve, and I give him all the credit in the world, and like that's the type of people I want on here. Remarkable rebound stories, whether it's drug use, alcohol abuse, gambling, all
That's
that
what
shit. Like, you know, like, and the main thing is like every person, like I would say 80%, 90% of the people that I have brought on here so far, I mean, this is going to be our 9th episode. Anybody that has a story of their past like that has came to me after the episode, including some of the stuff that I talk about, because I feel the same way. They say to me like, you know, I feel so much better that I talked about that. Like it was like almost like I got it off my chest. The stuff that like people didn't know about me, like, and I'm gonna use them as an example. Like Ange said it to me the other day. Like Angelo was really nervous about coming on, and I kept telling him like, dude, talk about as much as you want to talk about. And you know, after it was all said and done, he goes, man, that felt great. He goes, that felt great getting some of that stuff out. Like I didn't tell my whole story, but I told what I wanted to tell, and I'm happy I told it. You know, and it's like these, you know, like these people that you know want to be negative and stuff like. Keep your negativity to yourself. Like, just, like, let us do, like, you know, like, let the things, like, be proud. Like, you know, we all made mistakes. Everybody's got skeletons in your closet. Like, just let it be. You know what I mean? Like, don't be keyboard warriors. Just let it go, man.
This
Like, be,
about
like, if you
people who failed and fucking rebound and came back tenfold. These are success stories. This is why we're on here, guys.
That's one of the biggest parts of the like people that do meetings, like the 12 steps. The whole fourth step is getting all that
About
stuff
getting all
out.
of that.
Get that crap out of you to somebody. Do the fourth and fifth step.
Maybe knew you 10 years ago and said, that guy's a scumbag. And then he sees Joe on here tonight and he's like, dude, I can't believe that fucking guy Joe, man. He cleaned, he looked great on the show. He's got 2 kids now. He don't do drugs no more. He doesn't drink. Wow. I never thought I'd see that. So it's a fucking good, it's a good feeling to be on the show, man. All the people you used to know that think we're dirtbags, and they probably say the same thing about me. Oh, Anthony's still alive? I thought that fucking kid was never going to make it. I like that. It makes me feel good coming on here, and telling and listening to all our guest stories. It makes me feel better. I'm happy.
Couple months. Like I don't think any of us thought we'd be here, and like
Oh,
it's scary because like I said, like people say like, oh, isn't it embarrassing telling your story? I go, why would it be embarrassing? Like we live in this small community. Like everybody knew who I was. Everybody knew who my family was for the most part. Like I was out really making an imbecile out of myself when I was using and being an addict. Like if that doesn't scream embarrassment, walking out of a bar at noon, blacked out, having to close one eye to see how to get to my car at noon, like if that doesn't scream embarrassment, like what I'm doing now, I mean, I don't care what people label it as. I feel good about doing what I'm doing, and I really don't. I stopped caring about other people's opinions. And like walking up here today, like I mean, I'm sure, 3 years ago, I mean, Joe, like you probably wouldn't think we'd be doing this today, right here, like how we're doing this.
No, this is something that you talk about, like when you're just starting to get clean and like, oh, that'd be cool to one day
yeah,
do this,
and
or
we're
it'd be
here.
cool to, one day do that. You know
Yep.
what I mean? But as far as other people go, the comments, like I understand that's big because social media, your views, the subscribers, and all that stuff is important. But at the end of the day, fuck those people.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? This is about us and what we're doing.
Yep.
You know?
Joe, it was nice to meet you, and it was nice to hear your story, bro. And I
Dude, it's nice
down
to
the
finally
road,
meet
man,
you.
and hopefully one day we can meet. And it was nice talking to you.
Hell yeah, I want to do this
Yeah,
again. Absolutely.
Anything more you want to say to any advice? Anything you want to say to the audience?
No, yeah, just that voice in your head that keeps telling you can't do something, or you're not able to do this, or you're not able to, like, take that voice out of your head, and that you don't need to listen to that voice.
Absolutely.
Just do what you need to do. Get it done. One foot in front of the other. What do they say? Inch by inch,
Step by
it's a
step.
cinch.
Yeah,
Just keep moving
that's
forward.
it.
You know, you hear those, cause I throw those cliches at you all day, but yeah, that getting yourself away from those negative
Yeah.
thoughts. That's the biggest part for me. So,
Def-
other than that, that's all I got, man.
All right, guys, we'll keep grinding, keep doing your thing. I'm actually gonna start putting in my description. I'm gonna give you guys my Facebook and my Instagram. It'll be at the bottom. Anybody that ever has any questions that they want us to shoot live on future episodes, please feel free to inbox me, add me as a friend. If you're ever going through anything, feel free to reach out. I'm always willing to hit people back via text or. I'm gonna leave my Facebook and my Instagram at the bottom. If you think potentially you have a good story that you want to bring on the show, I'd be more than happy. I don't care if I don't care anybody's status or what they are. If you have a story that you want to tell that may inspire other people to make that change, please hit me up on my on my inbox, whether it's Facebook or Instagram. That'll be in the description below. I want to thank our sponsors for tonight. My buddy Dan over at Level Red for pre-workout Dragonfire. You can find that at www.levelredempire.com. That's made right here in Wilkes-Barre. As I always say, Dan did a lot of research. He was with GNC for 20 years. He was a regional manager up and down the East Coast. He did a lot of studying and research, and he got a great team together to develop that product. It's a lot of natural ingredients, no crash, good flavor. It's really a good product. You should check it out. And we're in affiliation with them, so when you're checking out, if you do grab some stuff, hashtag #sitdown, and you'll get hooked up. I got Ant. I'm repping the flag.
Top
Top
class,
class
guys.
mafia. We got some apparel right here for Top Class Mafia.
Yeah,
Shit's
man.
hot. You guys want to get your hands on it? The website will be listed below. Ant's a big sponsor of our show, and in affiliation
Nobody's
with
got
us.
sales, guys.
And
20% off. So definitely go visit the site.